Okay, game is starting, friends. How you doing? It's time to watch some Atlanta Reign versus London Spitfire. How you guys doing? I cut it too close on the starting. We're already in game. I'm gonna have to say hi afterwards. Atlanta Reign. Ah, the Winston Goats. London Spitfire. The Reinhardt Goats. Okay, I see I didn't miss much. I was gonna say that I actually haven't watched. I think I've watched like one or two of the games of this stage in full so far, because Dallas has been scrimming like crazy, trying to get ready, of course. So I know what the meta is in scrims, but I'm not sure if it's the meta that's actually being shown on stage, because there's a big, big difference every time between what teams are like willing to practice and experiment with and what teams will actually pull out on stage. So kind of like previous to stage one starting up, people were even more adventurous in scrims. So I'm kind of, you guys probably are more informed than I about what's kind of going on this stage, honestly. I do want to look at the Chengdu Paris game though, like the Chengdu Hunters and the Paris Eternal. So I'm either going to review that after today's games if I'm feeling up to it, and if not, probably like tomorrow morning or something like that, because apparently Chengdu Paris was an amazing game. Okay, we're still just running goats though. Pokepo's running, or sorry, Atlanta Reign, with Pokepo being the Winston instead of the Reinhardt goats. Normally, Reinhardt goats is going to have an advantage. In stage 2, that advantage is certainly lessened, but it's still there. Just Winston gets so much more value against like clumped targets with his cleave, but Reinhardt still is just amazing for just running into it, because Reinhardt goats can actually survive a lot more pokes sent their way. You're actually seeing Batiste multiple games. Excellent. 1 year, no love. I do love you though, Zuby. I do love you. I love you for... You've subbed for 12 months, but I've loved you for 13 months. True story. True story, Zuby. Put the entire game on the screen? Unfortunately, I can't do that. Oh, there we go. The overlay updated. Thank you, overlay. Okay. So London starting on the high ground, dropping to the low ground. Atlanta Reign, like Pokepo did swap over to the Reinhardt, which makes a lot of sense, just because I don't think this map is favored enough towards like high ground and weird chokes that you can kind of like get cleaves on with the Winston for you to stay on Winston goats. So I like to swap over to the Reinhardt goats. London Spitfire still in control at this point though. They've got Graviton coming up. The Atlanta Reign do have Transcendence, but Bomb is up, and they don't have Barrier. Shouldn't need it as long as Baby Bay plays this right with his bubbles. Gesture and Pokeball both have hammers, but that shouldn't really come into account. And Baby Bay's... So Atlanta Reign wants to probably play this slow until they get their Graviton. So there's the Grav out, there's the hammer, and the bubble came out... I think the bubble hit a target, but then a pin hit a different target. I'm not actually 100% sure about how that bomb got through, because Baby Bay did have his bubbles, but Gesture pinned, but I thought the pin would have hit the bubble. So I would have to like rewatch that in slow motion to figure out exactly how that combo got through. Beard's End, thanks for the 8 months. Go Roman with the 8 months. Panda's Rubik's Cube with the Prime. Castellera with the 7 months, says Burn Blue. Indigunner with the Prime. Zuby with the Tier 1 for 12 months in a row. Mediocre Justin with the 2 months. Slapshot with the Prime for 4 months in a row, says, I went from gold player to coaching a diamond team thanks to your videos. You're an inspiration. Best of luck, Slapshot. There's actually an individual who is coaching one of the better Tier 3 teams in the Open Division, and he's hard stuck mid-gold. So don't let your rank stop you from being a coach or an analyst if you want to. Epter, thanks for the 12 months. Welcome back, Epter. Happy 1 year. Okay, we're back into it. What are we rolling out on? So we're doing Moira Mercy, triple DPS. Okay, Platinums are celebrating as we speak with Hammond Solo Tank, and the other side is running Moira Sombra Winston Goats. So yeah, like London wins the, in terms of, like the circle of counters is back in a much stronger force than it was in stage 1, which means that if you're doing rollouts, you either have to scout and swap or bet, and sometimes you win the bet and sometimes you lose the bet. So this composition that Atlanta Reign is running right now is kind of like meant for destroying like really ground-based compositions, goats compositions, things of that variety. But the London Spitfire are running a composition that really allows them to actually punish triple DPS. So you can see it's like purpose built to defeat triple DPS because it's got the Moira, which means that they are ready to just take out or like just take a ton of spam damage and still survive it, so they don't have to back up or give positioning. They can tank just a lot more damage. And then the Sombra is like super key in the Winston goats because one of the things, like you saw how the London Spitfire was forcing the objective pressure. So Atlanta Rain can like spread out all across the map. The Tracer can be left, the Sombra can be right, the Pharah can be in the air, but somebody has to touch the point or else London Spitfire just gets a free cap, and whoever they send to try and do that, Prophet will just hack and they'll collapse onto them. There's a big EMP coming out. Ooh, that's close, Prophet. They got Kodak hacking the Mercy in Valkyrie, though, and you can still fly around in Valkyrie when you're hacked. So, yeah, London Spitfire... There wasn't a scout and swap. They just rolled out, and London Spitfire won the bet, basically, on what they were going to play. And Atlanta hasn't swapped here. Now, the great thing about this is that the Atlanta Rain, their swap is right onto Goats itself, Reinhardt Goats in particular. So you're doing like a scuffed Goats in order to counter a triple DPS, but then the counter to that is going to be a swap onto a Goats with a Reinhardt so that you can win the objective pressure, and they're only going to keep Sombra for one fight, because after this, after they don't have the EMP, it's probably just better for them to go normal Goats. There's a beautiful EMP, however, even better counter from Nuss. That's actually huge awareness. So Atlanta's still not out of the woods yet, and London really shouldn't be winning this fight, which means that they're going to be using all of their ultimates. So you will see London just not care even the remotest bit about their ultimate economy because they are at a disadvantage with their composition, and win or lose this fight, if it wasn't 99%, they would be heading back to spawn and getting swaps. So, like, Prophet died here. There's probably a low chance that he comes back on Sombra, unless he thinks that's going to be his fastest return, or he wants to keep his EMP charge. And then Bedosin, after this Coalescence, he would be coming back on Zenyatta instead. So Prophet's probably just going to stay on Sombra because he's 70% and it's overtime and it doesn't matter that much. But if this was happening around like 30, 40%, it would have been another swap and we would have kept going. Okay. Here we go. I'll probably make a video on the circle of counters explaining it more. Like, all of your questions are very valid. Like, I hear your questions about pirate ship, I hear your questions about double sniper, and in order to kind of, like, talk about where those fit into, like, if you're using... No model is perfect, but if you're using the circle of counters model, for lack of a better word, then those do need to be fit in somewhere. But the thing is that if you want, like, the very, very simple answer about where does pirate ship fit in, it's the fact that the circle of counters that each have percentage values on them for, like, how good this is countering at that, those numbers are affected by map geometry. Okay, so what are we attacking with? We're attacking with triple... Woo, this is interesting. So we've got 3 dive tanks. We've got the Winston, the Hammond, and the Diva, which is really good. The problem with the London Spitfire's composition is that they have very, very low damage and also huge health pools that they can't really actively heal up very quickly. Now, you can get away like around that in 2 different ways. First of all, London Spitfire doesn't have to kill big beefy targets, so their low damage is okay. And if they have good coordination, they can take out targets like Kodak, like Enlayer, Erster. You know, Moss is going to be a little bit harder because his Guardian Angel, but they're not trying to like burn through big health pools or do shield break or anything like that. So their low damage composition is totally okay. And then in terms of like not being able to heal up their 3 tanks as quickly with like a Mercy and a Zenyatta, you've got mobility so your tanks can get mega health packs, as well as you've got the mobility so you can just like choose when to gauge. You can go in, and if you get low, you can go back and reset. Okay, so Ball's back up on the top right, attacker's perspective around that mega. There's the Winston jump going onto Erster, just trying to... So this is like a soft dive. They used this dive here in order to force the Atlanta to change position and open up a rotation so that London Spitfire can get to their next location. Erster still has his tire here, which is going to be challenging. He backs up pretty much... One of the things that you want to use Junkrat tire for is not like winning immediately, but for countering whatever ultimate like they try and use. So there was 3 ultimates used from the London Spitfire, and that causes Erster's tire to come out. Birdring shoots Pokepo in the face, so this is pretty good advantage for London. And we're looking at snipers now. Okay. Yeah, if you're new to this, it's just alternative commentary. I'm not really casting the game. I'm trying to kind of like provide running analysis and commentary from a more like educational and analytical perspective. So hopefully the league actually allows this to happen in the future, where you can kind of like pick, have like multiple casters for each game, and each caster doing it a different style, whether you're doing like descriptive commentary or educational commentary. Hopefully they kind of do this, because it's been a lot of people have started to do it recently. Okay, so London going back to Somber Goats. Fans have told me that Somber Goats is a cheese comp, so London Spitfire obviously have a poor understanding of the meta since they're running Somber Goats. Pretty sure that's how that works. Oh, man. You should be an analyst for Overwatch League. That would be Pog. Honestly, I don't know, man. I'll talk about that like during a break, but yeah, I can't talk about that like in the middle of a game. Okay. So the Mei and Junkrat, I wasn't really giving this enough thought earlier. Mei and Junkrat, though. And what are they trying to do with this? I would have to, like, I'm not sure why they think Mei and Junkrat is, like, the optimal situation here. Because they were on it for quite a while. It wasn't just ultimate charge swaps, right? Okay. So Fury's frozen. They're dropping a Blizzard. That's going to get Gesture. No, Gesture manages to jump out. Didn't think he had his jump off cooldown. Okay, so they hold. So maybe they're onto something. So they're doing Mercy and Zenyatta with Junkrat and Mei. Now, there's kind of like... Chat, when we're talking about dive compositions, there's two different kinds. Like, there's dive, and when you just say the word dive composition, you usually mean a proactive dive, right? It means that you are setting up and then diving onto something. If you're into something like Atlanta Reigns composition, where the Mei and the Junkrat are being played in like a dive composition with the Winston and the Diva, it's not really dive. It's usually what's called counter dive. And the counter dive is a dive that dives reactively, so they dive second. So, for example, if Gesture and Fury jump on a target, then Pokepo and FRD get to decide whether they reactively follow the tanks of the London Spitfire, or counter dive, which means, again, see that Gesture and Fury have dove their backline, so FRD and Pokepo dive London Spitfire's backline. Normally when you're playing, and like it very much depends. Both are very viable options, because if you are playing like these weirder heroes like Mei and Junkrat are both harder to actually kill when you dive them compared to something like a Widowmaker or something like that. They've got the ice block, they've got freezes, they've got walls, mines, concussions. It's much more difficult as a Winston and a Diva to dive on a Mei and a Junkrat to kill them than it is to dive on a Widowmaker. So if you think that your backline is fine, then you can like just watch Gesture feed basically and then dive their backline, whereas their DPS aren't as easily pocketed and aren't as able to protect. But I don't know. The defense didn't hold very long. It held like 1 or 2 fights. But Mei Junkrat is definitely a new one to see. Pretty cool to see that variation. Not convinced it's the strongest composition you could have run there. But hey. Okay, what are we attacking with? Well, so anytime you see this, right? They jumped out, they scouted, and then they're swapping immediately. So this is kind of like, this is one of the first...
Just wondering how much you think that Gentle Kneel is going to cost Sinatra?
Gentle Kneel? What did I miss? I didn't watch the shot game. I was asleep. What happened with the Gentle Kneel thing? Did I just see you put up an OK symbol, Jayne? Yes. That is okay. This is an okay hand. I am not a white supremacist, chat. I am not a white supremacist. I'm not afraid of your PC culture bullshit. This is an okay hand. And that's a middle finger. It's an okay hand. Can we just stop to be afraid of the okay hand randomly because one dude complained? You can do that? Yes, I can do this. This is my channel. I can do whatever I want here. Okay. Winston Goats, Zenyatta, Ana Goats from the London Spitfire. They're using Nano. I don't see onto what. Popo just gets utterly deleted. You enjoyed your stay? Rest in peace. Okay, what do we got here? Atlanta's already out of ultimates, and they're on the attack. London Spitfire coming up on quite a bit here. They have the Zenyatta, Transcendence for Prophets, Zarya. Where is Atlanta actually trying to attack this? So they're trying to like take this high ground around the Mega as much as they want. Poor Fred. Do you guys know what FRD's name is? Also, how you doing, Emong? Yeah, Fried Wiener was his original name. Fried Wiener. And then he removed the values, or the vowels from it. And then he changed his name so that it was Overwatch League suitable to become FRD. Which most people think is Fred, but it's actually Fried. But since the confusion there, League guys are just calling it FRD. Okay. 46 seconds remaining. London Spitfire is just coming in from the main. There's the Graviton. Transcendence. Bomb. So, Pokepo tried to actually drop the bubble in order to cut the Transcendence in half, and he got it, but they didn't have enough follow-up DPS in order to actually burn through that, even though they did get the trans cut. The only kill they got was from the bomb itself. So 4 minute and 20 second time bank to try and snowball into the next point. Man, my music must be loud. Did he say London's? No, I did not. I said London Spitfire. Okay. So the only thing they have for the snowball is the Transcendence and the Primal. Primal should be charging pretty fast. Pokepo's in a great position to get cleave. Yeah, he's already at Primal. That was very fast. This is a pretty decent position for Atlanta Reign to be in, especially with Pokepo having the Primal. Is he going to invest the Primal to try and stay alive? He is, and they don't actually burn through him. Like, the Kodak has to pop the Transcendence, but... Ooh, and then Kodak comes out of Transcendence and immediately is discorded and destroyed by Prophet. So, get the D-Mech on a Fury, but unless they can really heal Pokepo back up, I don't think it's going to be able to stay in this for much longer. And Birdring is going to be using that rally to just kind of like force the 1v1 with the Atlanta Brig. Enlayer? I still don't know how to pronounce his name. So yeah, as soon as that rally was used to kind of like win the Brig 1v1, which is a perfectly valid way to use the Brigida ultimate. Yeah. London Spitfire, 2 defensive support ultimates. Fury with the bomb. Prophet with the Graviton. Enlayer, I'm saying it right? Okay, nice. Okay. Atlanta Reign, this time going to be... So they're swapping onto the Reinhardt Goats. Going through Dark, they're going to be met by London Spitfire. Both Gravitons online, both Bombs online. Only London has the Transcendence. Atlanta Reign does, however, have the Barrier. Okay, both Gravitons just get eaten. That's beautiful. Maybe a little bit predictable. Both Zarya's like, this is a perfect opportunity. You know, that's what happens is that like when things get down to such a science, you know, when teams are approaching the fights with when teams are approaching fights with such a methodical kind of thought process in terms of like who has what ultimates, who has what ultimates, words are hard. and what the plans are with those ultimates that are also a lot easier to interpret. And you know kind of like when teams want to grab, what reasoning these barriers are being used. Like especially if you need to force out, like if you trade barrier, for example, and they don't have a transcendence, they can't survive the grab even if they don't have the bomb, or even if you don't have the bomb, or if you have it and don't use it sort of situation. So Atlanta is going with the more like these weirder characters. Now they've got FRD on the Mei. So what did they drop for the Mei? So they dropped the Diva for the Mei, but they're going into a Zarya. Okay, so the wall was tried to keep them alive, but with Prophet in there, FRD's already used his cooldown, so he should die not a moment later. Okay. So. Not sure if I'm convinced on the Mei pick yet, but I gotta see more of what Atlanta is trying to actually do with this this hero here. Your fridge is... Oh, stop, chat! Chat. My fridge is fine. Wow, you're so oblivious to your fridge. I can see it. Like I have a camera monitor. I don't even have to turn around to check. That being, is your fridge running? Well, you better go catch it. Okay, what do we got? Grav for Erster. No Diva Bomb to combo with it. Gesture has hammer and Pokepo has hammer. Ooh, Fury landed that. Uber was like, you cannot allow that to happen. Forehead just block shatter. Unluck. Blizzard was eaten. Was that the plan for the Mei all the time? The whole time? I think it was. What is R9K mode off? Oh, sorry, I'll turn R9K mode off. I forgot to do that. R9K beta off. Did it turn off? Why didn't it turn off? There we go. Okay. Okay. Here we go. What are we rolling out on? Gesture rolling out on the Widowmaker for the Scout. They scout and they swap. So I think we are going into a meta that's going to have a set. We're probably going to end up in a meta with a very defined circle of counters. Okay. So we're running the triple DPS. So they're going for a shield break triple DPS? Interesting. So this is kind of like the triple DPS variant that London Spitfire is going for right now is usually used for like Bunker Buster because you've got the Hanzo and the Pharah, and the Hanzo and the Pharah are just fantastic shield break compositions. Like the Mercy can damage boost the Pharah for just like the rockets. The Hanzo's Storm Arrow is a huge amount of burst damage that is great onto shields. And then the Sombra can just like the Sombra isn't in terms of like shield break, but with the hacks as well as the EMPs, if everybody's clumped up and you're going against a composition that does clump up, it's just you hit everyone and then everyone dies. It's not really any more complicated than that. So they've decided to do this against the Batiste goats on defense. So it's like Batiste Zenyatta, which is a little bit interesting here. It'll work. So Batiste is probably going to be a little bit better than Brigitte in that situation. Like if you do have the Batiste and the Zenyatta, you have the ability in order to, have more poke. Like if you think about it, just conceptually, it's easier for a Batiste to annoy a Pharah than it is a Brigitte. Okay, so Brigitte is like, and then Batiste is like pew pew pew. Okay, one's better than the other. So is it going to be enough in order to like punish the ball? No. Punish the Sombra? No. So it's just slowly sit there and die, I guess, is the Atlanta Reign strategy there. Can we have time shown? It's on the... It's right there. It's right there. EMP with the nice takeouts. This kind of composition does really well in terms of like cycling between quick and fast. Like you can slowly outvalue the opponent with having the Pharah and the Hanzo. If they poke for any kind of like prolonged period of time, you're just going to burn more resources of the opponents than you yourself expend. And then you also have the option of just pressing the I win button with Sombra and EMPing everybody and then just killing them. So, and then when you are playing so slow, then Fury is going to be able to, if you are playing much slower, then you're going to be able to get the EMP charge faster because there's like less reset times, there's less down times. You can spend more time farming. You can like decloak a little bit farther away and try and do some like farming in fall off range, things of that variety. Baby Bay gets right in there and actually cuts off the healing onto Prophet with his personal bubble. That was good stuff. Okay. So now what are the compositions going? So Zen Goats for the Atlanta Reign, and then the London Spitfire is running Sombra and Ana. Okay. Okay, that makes more sense. London switching onto the Zenyatta. So they got rid of Ana. That was probably a transitionary comp. I didn't really pay attention, so I assume it was a transitionary comp from their initial attack with the Ana, but now they're on to Zenyatta Sombra Goats, which is a much better play here. So Fury is going to have EMP. Yeah, he doesn't even have to farm for it. And then they're going above him. Okay, so what's the engagement here? And what, like, Atlanta Reign, Masa is already showing himself, so he's not in a place where he can reactively... Oh, Masa does juke it. Masa was just kind of, like, in the middle of the Atlanta Reign. I didn't think that he was going to be able to juke the EMP to save his team. But he actually did get it off. It didn't actually help. They're still all dead. But interesting. I would have loved to see either Masa's or Fury's perspective for that fight. Ba-da-ba-ba.
They decided to take the fight to London. That's their best chance in that scenario. Maybe Jester doesn't connect with the Shatter onto the stairs and doesn't hit a few people, and they're able to make it work out of that. But even with the sound barrier from Masa, yeah, still worked. It wasn't enough to keep them alive. Proper now with the Graviton Surge.
Okay. A lot of ultimates. We got 4 coming on 5 for the Atlanta Reign. We got 2 coming on 4 for Spitfire. No grab for Atlanta yet, though. Both support ultimates will be online for London momentarily. Okay, how are they going to engage this? Let's try and just look at how they fight each other and who's using what win condition. Masa's really high, maybe looking for a boot, but they know he's there. Pokepo's shield is getting focused pretty hard. The rally is going to be called for the engagement. They tried to go for a speed shatter. The counter engagement is going to be using a beat. Baby Baby did get his Graviton online, but it gets eaten. I am a few seconds behind, but Pokepo landed a hammer there. And weren't able to follow up on it. Okay, what ultimates are here? So Spitfire has Rally. Erster has 40% to his next one already. Bdosin kept his trance, and they won that fight. That's huge. Because they ate Baby Bays. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. I'll talk more about that later. Birdring is going to be using the rally for the engage, and that's going to be matched with Barrier, which is not exactly what you want to have happen. Fred gets Erster's E so that he stays alive, but London Spitfire is just going to keep this going, and Nuss just barely survives. Fred's going to get demeched as soon as that bubble's gone. He does. Now Bdosin is going to be using the Transcendence to try and close this off and deny Baby Bay the chance for his next Graviton. So, like, one of the options... Ooh, the charge. Is it going to kill Prophet? It's not. They're back, and they've got a lot of health. Keep Bdosin up. Nice. Bdosin's, like, right nicely snuggled in there and protected. Kodak's trying his best, but there's no way he gets his trance before this is an end. Slam, Baby Bay. Yes, the disrespect hammer. So, yeah, like, getting your Graviton eaten is pretty bad. For a lot more reasons than you would just think. Like, especially if you have a set defense for the Graviton. Like, for example, let's say that your plan involves using Sound Barrier to protect yourself against the Graviton Surge. If the Graviton Surge gets eaten, and your plan continuously is to use the Sound Barrier for Graviton Surge, there's probably a pretty good chance that you can get a barrier at the same time that they get their Graviton. So if your Graviton gets eaten, then they can use Sound Barrier to just utterly destroy you. And win that fight, win it cleanly, get more ult charge. Because if the Zarya grabs, and then because of that, the Lucio realizes he no longer needs Barrier. He can use Barrier aggressively to punish the Zarya for getting the Graviton eaten. The Zarya dies, but the Lucio gains the ult charge from the cleanup, which will put them in the advantage in terms of like when the next set of Graviton Surges and Lucio Barriers come back online. Okay, so attackers, Atlanta Reign, Zenyatta Goats. Defenders, London Spitfires, Zenyatta Goats. Okay, we're not trying any DPS comps or attack comps here. Pokpo going pretty aggressive with Bubble. I didn't get to see... Oh, the Bubble was used actually from Prophet pretty late. Interesting. So Fury and Gesture are going to be going onto the high ground position. They've given up a tick already. London, I feel like they got caught off guard by that. I don't know why they got caught off guard with that, but they got pushed back. And then because the Prophet's bubbles weren't very good, they actually really couldn't retake space very effectively. They go back in there. Erster's low. That's great. Gesture got a good swing, but gets booped back in by Masa and then deleted. Spitfire did not play that very well at all. That was some pretty bad goats. Oh, wait, I'm watching London. Oh, okay. I won't beat that dead horse, chat. Okay. Spitfire very much convinced that this fight is still winnable. Myself, not so much convinced of that fact. Unlucky. Is London ulting so aggressively because they're swapping? Because they used 4... Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Uber. That did not look great. Ooh, Pokpo charging Trancing Zen off. I missed that. Oh, I'm so sorry, chat. So sorry. Masa also getting more boops. Nice little camera transition there. Spectator's doing a good job. Ah, fantastic. A main tank died without it being on the camera. I don't know what happened, chat. Wasn't on the screen. I can't just interpret noises. I'm not that good yet. Sorry. Are you still going to China? Yes. Figuring out the visa requirements currently. Okay, what do we got? Atlanta Ryan, high ground. London Spitfire, already quite a bit of them low. Bomb coming in, catches Baby Bay. Okay. Did he use personal bubble earlier? I didn't see. Yeah, they can't fight without the Zarya. There's no way. Losing Zarya or Reinhardt first in Goats is basically a death sentence. The only characters that you can, like, kind of get away with without having in Goats is, like, the Brigitte or the Diva. You absolutely need Zenyatta and Zarya for your damage. You absolutely need your Reinhardt for very obvious reasons. Lucio for speed is very important. But Brigitte and Diva are more or less utility characters in the composition. Not just saying Lucio's speed is not utility as well, but it's just really, really, really important utility. Okay. Trance into countergraph. Ooh, everybody's health is low. This could go any way. And another bomb in the back? On the high ground. I think he tried to push it off, but didn't get it off in time. This is chaotic. This fight is what you would consider like a devolved fight. So it's not that there's like evolved fights and devolved fights. I use that word in the fact that like in a fight where you have a plan, you do specific things, you have a specific positioning in that variety. But when things go so very wildly outside of your expectations, like something unexpected happens, or you reach the end of your win condition, and surprise, surprise, the enemy team is actually not dead, and neither are you, and both people keep fighting, you're very into like a devolved fight where there's no set plan, and it's just kind of like how well you can communicate with your team and your individual kind of like mechanics in game sense about whether or not your team collectively is going to win the team fight. So there's some teams that are better in set plays, and there's some teams that are better in devolved fights. So between these two, I assume that London is both better in set as well as in chaotic or devolved fights. So I don't think they're really going to have an issue, even if they do end up in these chaotic situations. This fight is evolving. So Plat is devolved fights everywhere? Yes. You are correct. Plats also just don't even recognize when devolved... Like, the thing about devolved fights and why they're rare in pro is that pro players will reset if they're at a disadvantage. So devolved fights kind of like dictate that both teams have like reached the end of their like chain of logic, and both teams think they have the advantage or realize that it's kind of like a neutral. Or it's a situation where one team can't stop fighting because it's like last fight or 99% or something like that. Staggering. Just break Fury's mech. Oh, break Fury's mech, please. Okay. Third point. 2 minutes on the time bank. Atlanta doing better than I thought they would. They got through second pretty easily. Was it one fight or none? Did they even get a fight on? I can't remember. I was talking about something completely different. Okay. Both Gravitons online. Bomb is only online for Atlanta. So there's Grav. Is there going to be a counter Grav? There's the counter Grav! God, everything is like down to a science. Okay. So there's the barrier to push, and then the barrier is answered, and then the hammer. Did you get knocked off? You survived. Okay. There's just so that was a really great fight. If you wanted to listen or like kind of understand the mechanics and what teams think is the proper response to the proper response, that was basically like standard response for standard response. Like if you were explaining GOATS 101 and what you do with ultimates or what you do in your situations, I could have told you what kind of like the generic plan is for that situation, and it would have happened exactly that way. So it was Graviton into counter Graviton into Transcendence into barrier into counter barrier into hammer. Okay. Because of that, the London Spitfire has the bomb. There's rally to force the engage, push them back. FRD is taking the high ground. London Spitfire is trying to stabilize and outlast the rally. And they're going to use Transcendence here, but Baby Bay's at 75%. The hammer stops the bomb. Pokepo is low, and Kodak's going to respond with his own Transcendence. Now Jester's using hammer. There's the Graviton. No Transcendence for that one, and no barrier. So that's going to be a dead Atlanta Rain. Now we had a typical standard fight followed by an extremely atypical fight, in which kind of like both Transcendences were used out of rotation with both Gravitons, and that led to kind of like some chaotic situations. Now here, London Spitfire doesn't really care about winning that fight. They just wanted to delay as long as possible because now, you know, Baby Bay gets his Grav eaten. So yeah, they just wanted to try and force, like, this is one of those, you've probably heard the statement before, like forcing mistakes or something like that. So London Spitfire went in that last fight for 2 reasons. If this stops, I'll do like a mini VOD review. I'll do like a mini VOD review here. Mini VOD review time. Okay, Grav's still there. Trance is also there, though. Fury was at 7% away from bomb, but Masa dies somehow. Prophet, no. Okay, they got Prophet in Bird Ring. I think that's it. He might actually have multiple rounds. Fury got 2! Oh, man. Nuss booped Pokepo, so it killed Pokepo and Baby Bay. Stay on the payload, Fury. Stay on the payload, Fury. Masa is back, and Prophet's back on Tracer. Erster already used Shield Bash. Prophet still has recall. He has to hold it for the last second. Transcendence is up, and Prophet can use that to get his resources back, but they still have a Brigida on the field. Prophet has to get out. You're out of recall. Come on, Prophet. Oh, he got his recall back, but I'm not sure if I super like the Tracer recontest when they still had the Brigida. It's going to be pretty hard. Okay. So, playing for a tie, right? Okay, so Spitfire gets a chance to win. So, Atlanta Reign technically have lost because they can't get a point. But the London Spitfire is playing to close out the series. So, they lost, yeah. Okay, so London Spitfire. Fitfire. I'm going to be able to figure out how to say their name one of these times. London Spitfire swapping on to not the same composition. So last time they had a Sombra. Okay. Never mind. I was going to be like, why did they play the Sombra against Batiste Goats but not against an actual bunker comp? So this is, yeah. Yeah. So one of the great things about Prophet being on Pharah here, Pharah is kind of like a low-key super powerful pick against a bunker comp that kind of people don't realize. It's because you can concussion rocket people from like above and behind their shield, and it knocks them either away from it, off high grounds, or in front of their reverse shield, so you can punish them for it. But now that they're set up here, it basically should just be a, like, burn their shield, try and take objective pressure. Fried is on the point trying to make sure that nobody can just sit there for free. And London Spitfire have sat here long enough that they do have another activation of their field, or their lamp, rather. But let's see how London decides to engage on this, because it's 15 seconds. Bird Ring gets taken out. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Pokepo had to drop. There's the huge, huge amplification shield, or field usage there. And if you were talking about devolved fights, congratulations, you're in another one. Both Valkyries active? Yes, both Valkyries active. Bird Ring gets Pokepo with the Dragon. Bebe's tanking for him. This might actually clutch it out. Baby! Oh! Nice. Oh, you could barely survive that. Okay. Huge res. Huge res. And an EMP onto a Tracer. And there's mines on the point. This is London's. Boop. Nice. London Spitfire, take it 3-0. Now the only question is if it's going to be 4-0 or 3-1. Anytime you bring up like bunker comps or like bastion comps or things like that, the game becomes a lot less like a first-person shooter, and it becomes a lot more like a chess game where you have to like methodically take space, you know, set the bunker comp into a situation where you can just slowly dismantle in it. It becomes a lot more like chess, especially when you're playing around cooldowns and kind of like trading cooldowns for cooldowns or cooldowns for positioning. So I like bunker comps just because of their immobility are always going to be kind of like easy to play around. So I never think that bunker comps are really going to be meta. I think they're too easy no matter how powerful they are. You know, unless it's like absurdly powerful. The only like so the thing is, if bunker comps ever became meta, you would attack bunker comps with bunker comps. So it's like you thought Zenyatta mirror match goats was bad everywhere. Imagine Orisa Bastion on defense and attack everywhere. That is the true hellscape. That is the true hellscape. So like they're okay for short periods of time, but like for 4 full minute defenses, there's no way. There's no way they ever become meta. Are there plans for an Australian Get Good? And is there an ETA? No, not currently. So, Get Good spoiler. Tournament staff is like, oh god, what unfinished plans is Jayne about to share? Get Good currently has 3 divisions, between Platinum up all the way to like Grandmasters. But for the next edition of Get Good, we are introducing a division for below 2500 SR.
Play the Reinhardt into the Winston here. Usually on Gibraltar,
Okay, what are we attacking with here? I muted the sound. Sorry, chat. Also, if you guys didn't see, like my tweet about console got like 500 replies on Twitter yesterday. It was insane. So I am kind of like talking to a few console content creators, because the problem with me doing console stuff is if I do console stuff, it means I'm not doing PC stuff. And so, yeah, instead of like trying to do console stuff myself, I'm just going to collaborate with console content creators in order to do more like pug and tournament stuff and stream stuff on Twitch. So that's like early phases. I'm just talking to a few people about it. But for those of you guys who like really want console content, I hear you. It's just going to take a little while. Okay. So Atlanta Reign, Winston Goats, London Spitfire, Winston Goats. I wanted to talk more about like shifting metas, but if they're just going to spam Winston Goats into each other, I guess. Okay. Underneath now, it's not really where London... Unless London is like very, very set on recontesting, like even then, this is a really... Yeah, I was like, London, why are you here? Interesting hold locations for London so far. Primal coming in before he even jumps in. Baby Bay's in trouble. He grabs it. No bubble for Prophet. Birdring managed to save himself +1. Got the barrier just running out here. I don't think Fury's going to be able to survive that remech. Oh, he does get his remech again. You okay, Popo? Okay. What's going on here? That was a pretty crazy fight, too. So they got Grav. Atlanta Reign isn't that far away from Trance. They also have Rally. What other ultimates does London have? London's got... the Rallies are pretty matched here. So Rally can always be answered with Rally. But that, if that happens first, that'll give the Atlanta Reign the Transcendence for Prophet's Zarya and Graviton. Graviton already comes out, so they didn't play that slow enough, and that is going to cause London Spitfire to win. There should be a recontest here, though, right? They were far enough back? Maybe? FRD should be able to contest this, yeah. And there's going to be matched rallies, and FRD is going to be able to bomb. Yeah, definitely. All of FRD's Matrix is gone. Nuss is super low, but he managed to get away with a little cheeky wall ride. Pokpo's in the back line, primaling to his heart's contest. They've managed to kind of like isolate 3 of London Spitfire's backline, but the Trance comes out to save him alive, and then Pokpo overstays his welcome and gets punished. Kodak should die, and London Spitfire will take this cap. Nice. Still, pushed him into overtime, so it's going to be a 2-minute and 30-second second point. The problem with it kind of like finishing in overtime in this situation is the fact that you can't try and stuff them into those like 4 little doors. So this could be like you're not going to get 3 fights on second. Worst case scenario, you get 1. Likely situation is first fight happening kind of like on defender side, or sorry, attacker side of bridge. Or no, they really went for it. Okay. That was a very, very early engagement. It was kind of like just get together, go as quickly as possible, try and win this fight. Because like this choke here is so strong. It's not a traditional choke, but there's like 4 little hard chokes. But the problem is that they have to like send either everyone through one of them or they try and split. But then if they split, then it's easier to kind of like isolate and finish them off. So Atlanta Reign did take a super early fight there, trying to commit to the possibility of getting 3. But I think because they didn't win that fight, that this is only going to be a 2-fight situation still, which is unlucky. But you know what? Valiant effort. I can appreciate that. Baby Bay's got the Graviton, but Badosin has the Transcendence. So do they have Bomb? They have FRD, yes. So Prophet has to be careful with his bubbles, especially since Gesture is playing Monkey, not Reinhardt. Okay. Still just... Atlanta Reign is pretty okay with the fight. Baby Bay's grab gets eaten. Okay. Interesting. I would have loved to see Fury's POV on that one. Like, how many Gravitons has Baby Bay, how many Edens or Gravs has Baby Bay gotten eaten? Sorry?
I said about as much as Logic's.
About as much as Logic's. Clone Man throwing shade from the kitchen. Clone Man says Baby Bay got as many Gravs eaten as Logic's did. Oh yeah. Lionel Holden at this first corner. I don't think Popo got booped there, but it was kind of a weird animation.
Nuss going on the high ground. Masa's also on the high ground, so there's a lot of boops being looked for here. Looks like Nuss has been able to force Masa back, so that should give Gesture a little bit more safety. It's kind of interesting. There's like the way that the Lucios play around each other can be pretty fascinating. Are you going to use... Okay, so they want to hold this Transcendence as long as possible because Baby Bay has the Graviton. But because Kodak used his, they're going to have to barrier that. Oh my god, Baby Bay. You got another Graviton eaten. Oh, man. Well, Baby Bay is going to be crucified on Reddit, that's for sure. Another one. Is anyone keeping track? Baby Bay's Grav eats. Okay. Here we go, coming out. Nuss is looking for that boop. Yeah, that's so not only are they having like so Masa is on the much more on the aggressive side of things, but Nuss is trying to like shut him down, and he's also getting help from Fury occasionally. So it's kind of weird because this is a situation. I'll talk about it more after this fight. Hey, you can't get it eaten if you solo grab a Brigitte. PogChamp. Oof, you hate to see it. FRD on the high ground, tries to bomb. I'm not sure if he tried to push it off or what, but he just jumped down. Ooh. Careful, Prophet. Fury gets demeched. Tracer in the backline. Oh, man. Prophet almost got that headshot. That would have been sweet. Oh, Badosa with the body block on the spawn room. Oh, that was so cute. Did you guys see that? That was amazing. That was so good. That was great. So, what I wanted to try and say about Lucio's was just that, like, you know, there's a lot of teams who put a lot of effort into kind of how they use their bubbles and how aggressive their Reinhardt can be, what position they start from, where they end up at, whether they're baiting, whether they're forcing, whether they're actually kind of like burst through bubbles and get a kill or anything of that variety. And then if a Lucio is like, yeah, but you're actually 20 feet that way, then they like immediately die. So you can kind of like have this mutually assured destruction where if there's like two different areas, you know, you could have like, you know, Nuss on one side and Masa on the other side, and they're both just trying to like land boops, and it's whoever's boop is like first and better. Or you could have it if there's like in one situation where if there's only like one area where the Lucios can be, then they're gonna like fight around it and kind of be like, no, you're not gonna boop my Reinhardt. And then instead of the Lucios' focus being on the opposing main tanks, it's on each other. But then there was a few situations where not only Masa and Nuss were dueling each other, but like FRD and Fury were actually also using their boosters to try and to get the Lucios off the wall. So it's kind of like it's the first time I've seen that because it's like super hard to kill a Lucio who's just like being an asshole while wall riding and wall hopping around, because really you have to like discord him, and then you either have to Zarya beam him or burst at him with the boosters or some variety. But they had the Lucios kind of jockeying for position in order for the honor of booping the Reinhardt, and then the Divas were also getting involved, and it was pretty chaotic. There were just people like flying around on a wall somewhere. Let's turn those up a bit. Terrible. We're a terrible team right now. I should tweet that. I should just tweet Atlanta are a terrible, terrible team right now. Spicy. Do it. Might be a little bit 2 BM. Masa, no. Jester tried to follow up on that kill. Okay. This is Atlanta Reign's attack now. Fury back. He's hungry, hungry hippo looking for more grabs. Baby doesn't have very much high energy, so Fury doesn't really care. He's trying to just contest, I guess. Okay. Where's Gesture? There's Gesture. Okay, getting some cleave, forcing them back into server room, jumps out. Fury's going to be on the payload, making sure that doesn't move any further. Okay, so Atlanta... So on London's attack, it looked like Atlanta was trying to manipulate team fights to get multiples, but London just wants one very, very steady and secure position that they can win all team fights from. It's kind of like a different approach. to winning points and winning fights. So London Spitfires put a lot of effort into controlling this blue box, and this blue box gives them high ground access to like all other areas, server, catwalk, and of course payload. So as long as they have this, they have positional advantage and should win in the neutral. And because they'll be winning in the neutral, Gesture, you don't have Primal, do you? Why did you jump over there? You're 90. Oh man, Gesture, what are you doing, bud? So if you're winning or at least getting more value in the neutral, then you should also be able to kind of like get your ultimates first and use those to win the first fight and then snowball from there. But with Atlanta Reign's kind of barrier coming out and staying in there, they get Bedos and Gesture's back and he's going to get Primal, but it's like 4v5 right now. So Fury's going to get demeched as well. It doesn't look like Gesture's even going to invest the Primal. London Spitfire fucked up that defense pretty bad. I don't know what Gesture was doing there. He jumped onto like three members of Atlanta's backline at like 100 HP without Primal. I'm not sure if he was trying to like land on them and get the burst damage from the landing damage plus melee in order to activate Primal. That's actually a great question. If I have Primal, does meleeing prevent the activation of Primal? Like if you go in and you do landing jump melee combo, can you activate Primal during the cooldown of melee? Take your bets, chat. I'm going to test this. Question mark. I'm going to say yes. Nope. Okay. I'm going to have to test this. Pull it. Clone man. Yo, Clone man. He's never around when you want him. Okay. London's got a lot of ultimates. Okay. Boop. That was beautiful. Fury landed it just like right on their heads like a hat. Would you like to wear this nuclear bomb as a hat? It's very fashionable. Yeah. It's so much harder to survive grav bomb combos when you are playing Winston, because if you're inside of it and the bomb is inside of it, then you're not going to stay alive unless the Zarya finds perfect bubbles. But Baby Bay has not had the fantasticest performance on Zarya ever. So he's died a couple times to bombs just like in the open, even outside of Graviton. And then in Graviton he hasn't survived as many as one would hope, I suppose, is the way to answer it. Kodak, whoo! Fury lost a lot of health for that honor, though. Trying to keep Fury up. He does barely drop, okay. Okay, what are we looking at? You should stay on Reinhardt. Do double main tank goats. Do it, you cowards. It's not actually the worst thing in very specific situations. Okay. Atlanta Reign got 2 minutes left. They've got Grav. They don't have Bomb, though. Gesture in the backline on Kodak. Gets bubbled. Both supports low. He is going to Primal to hard commit on the Zen, but now he's just going to run. That's weird. There's a counter grab. Baby Bay successfully grabs without it getting eaten. Fury slipping, apparently. Nuss is in trouble because Baby Bay is at high energy, and barrier from Masa is going to help them push this through. I wonder why Popo didn't get the barrier. That was weird. He managed to get it. Go on, man.
What?
Does melee prevent activation of Primal for that half a second?
I don't think so. Like, if you do it fast enough, you can like punch Primal, and like it will still register the.
It will?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like it prevents bubble from dropping. It's not the same way.
I don't think so. Wait, hold on. So if you punch.
If
the
you
bubble-
punch, you can't drop bubble for half a second. Right? Definitely. It's definitely a thing. I'm not sure if you can punch Primal, though.
I can check it really quick. Hold on.
I think he probably imagined that London would play a little bit more passive there. Maybe he thought his teammates were a little bit closer.
Okay, 2 minutes for Atlanta Reign. Got Bomb, nothing else. Could go, well, Spitfire doesn't have much else either, but they're going to come up their rally first. London Spitfire could use that to, like, force an engage, which would be kind of an impressively ballsy play. The safer play is certainly to fall back to that first corner. But we'll see what they actually do. Transcendences have come online during the poke phase. Kodak is already using Transcendence. Okay. There's Graviton coming out. Like, you Jester missed his charge. Unlucky. The grav was on the payload, and then Jester went for the charge, but he like kind of like slipped off the payload awkwardly. So this is kind of weird to me because even when they had like when they have Kodak and Dogman do the same like mistakes, both of them do. It's like that's the plan. You know, they do a lot of try to do like tempo plays with their Transcendence, and then they just can't get the value from it, and they get punished by the opponent actually having Zarya ultimate and them either trying to use Barrier in order to counter the Graviton or just not having a support ultimate. So I really don't think it's like Dogman or Kodak's fault that their Transcendences are that way. For it to have been this consistent, as well as if, ooh, that shatter! Look at the amount of people that assisted the kill onto Gesture. Every single person on the team was involved in Gesture's kill. Every single person on the team. Every single person. Okay. Atlanta's in a good position for this one. Okay. I don't think there's okay. So, about a minute overtime pushes. If I'm thinking about, oh man, I think London win this. If they try and replicate the strategies they had on the first point again in extra rounds, I think London's strategy is better. Atlanta's strategy was like to try and get multiple fights, but they might play it differently knowing they're in extra round and only have 60 seconds on the clock. So, I don't know. We'll see. Who do you guys think is going to win the extra round fight? Is it going to be London Spitfire or Atlanta Reign? Oh, yeah, we're back. We'll test it afterwards. Okay, London Spitfire rolling out on Pirate Ship. Okay, so they're definitely not going for the same strategy. Okay, so I've got Mercy Bedosin, Mercy Baptiste. So like that's a really good composition. Like Baptiste and Mercy synergize really well together. But the problem is, of course, that means that it's going to be synergizing with snipers and bastions quite well. So Atlanta Reign, however, they're playing the Winston, so they can get a lot of cleave, but they're going to have to do like a cycle in order to try and get the E out from Baptiste. So Bedosin, Pokepo's really low, and he jumps in. He actually like commits the jump. There's the E coming out. Atlanta needs to kind of reset and then go back. They just immediately burn the field and then Bastion. They don't even try and like soft commit. Interesting. I would have definitely approached that differently. Okay. Interesting. They just burned the field immediately and then burned the Bastion right after. I hope they show a different angle of that. I would like to kind of see what happened in a little bit more detail. Why do Mercy and Baptiste synergize? Baptiste has good poke, you know, on par with Zenyatta. Mercy's got the damage boost there. Baptiste can make everybody invulnerable to kind of win fights to make up for the lack of like Mercy's healing, as well as the Baptiste E there can allow Mercy to get a resurrect in like really scary situations. I think I said one of those backwards. Which one did I say backwards? I said like did I say Baptiste's ult when I meant Baptiste's field lamp thingy? I think I said one of those backwards. Immortality field res is a really stupid good combo, but the field lamp thingy, you know what I mean. That's it's not the worst place that payload could have ended up at. Fury did get a little bit of extra distance on it. Okay. What is Atlanta going to try? What is Atlanta going to try here? Zengoats, Reinhardt mirror match. Didn't they do Winston mirror match the first time they rolled out on this? Masa immediately boops London off the high ground. Interesting. Fighting here is good because they will get a second recontest, and it's almost guaranteed for it to be in overtime, whereas if they win this fight, they're guaranteed to get this fight with ultimates. Yeah, Jester, you're in trouble, buddy. Just charges right back into the field and lands a pin, too. Okay. I think London's winning this one? Are they just going to keep fighting this with reinforcements? Okay, London's decided to give this up. That's fine. So now London has ultimates for this last fight, and this is going to be last fight. So that was well played by London there. Atlanta has Trance, though. And I don't think Nuss is going to get Barrier. So Nuss's Barrier being solo here is troublesome. But London Spitfire does have the advantage of the rally coming up at 90%, which is 15% ahead of Atlantic Rain. So they're in a pretty good position here. There's that. And rally. Oh, the hammer comes out. Are they going to be able to keep Jester alive? There's the Transcendence. Nuss really needs Barrier here. Absolutely needs Barrier. Nuss is at 84%. There, Nuss got Barrier. Prophecy of Bubbles. Yes. God, that was close. The one time Baby Bay was patient. It gave Nuss enough time to build Barrier. No, Jester's letting Kodak just farm him from the back. Burn Fred. Burn Fred. Okay, chaotic fight. 2 respawns back. Baby Bay's here. Recall's already out. Prophet's almost got another Graviton. He can't get ult charge off of the Hammond shield, though. That doesn't give ult charge. You know what? Do it to Mini Diva. Burn him. Burn them all. Burn them all. Lennon gets the 4-0. Nice! I didn't think Nuss was going to get Barrier in time, but Baby Bay held his Graviton for like 5 to 10 seconds longer than I thought. So, hey. London Spitfire take a 4-0. Burn them all down, baby.